Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to another 37 Ghosts video. And in today's topic, you know the video title, I should say. This is how lust destroyed my life. And this is how semen retention was the best thing that's ever happened to me and how it saved me. I just want to just speak my truth. Yeah, pretty much. And I just want you guys to, I want to get straight into it. So if you guys are watching or playing video games or working or working out, I just want you to really just relax and listen to the sound of my voice as I tell you my truth. So yeah, let's get it started. So where did it start? Around age 12, seventh grade. Mind you, the people that I grew up with, or the people that were raising me at the time, would always educate me how P-Hub is the actual devil, how corn is the worst thing on earth. And you know, at that age, like, everything that your parents do or say, you want to do the opposite. Whether it's parents, family members, just any parental guardian, whatever you say to do, you want to, whatever they say to not do, you want to do the total opposite. So when I had the people that were raising me at the time saying like, oh yeah, P-Hub is a devil, all this stuff like that, it only intrigued me. I didn't even know what it was before then, right? And unfortunately, it does run in the family. Not, I wouldn't say addictions, but maybe addictive personalities. It's always sin related, whether it's drinking, whether it's lust, whatever it is. It's like I'm prone to that, right? So around age 12 was when, instead of wanting to just kiss a girl, you wanted to do more. And I remember I was hanging out with my buddies. This is seventh grade, and we were riding around in our electric scooters around town in SoCal, LA County. Just beautiful days. Imagine 2014-ish. Just the vibe, right? So we were playing, and he one of my boys, he pretty much he found some shit on Instagram. I don't know how he found it, but it was a full on scene. It was on Instagram. It was a full on P-Hub scene. And I remember I was just like, whoa, like, you remember your first time seeing something like that, right? And I remember just thinking like, I want to see even more of that. And he I don't know how he got this, but he found out, like, he bought like a new box of condoms, and he had he gave us all one. He's like, go to the bathroom and fill it out so you know how it's like to smash these girls, bro. And like, I remember putting it on in the bathroom by myself and thinking like to actually reenact that with somebody who I think is attractive would be kind of sick. So I've ever since I saw that image, I really told myself like, hey, like, I want to see more of that shit. Even though the people that I was living with said, hey, like, that's the devil, I didn't care. I was like, that was fucking cool. So that's when it started, and I started looking up just the most amateur shit. Like, I'm not gonna go into details, but just normal P-Hub stuff, just like normal stuff. And that's how it really started. And my usage was once or twice a day, and mind you, that's already fucked up. It wasn't every now and then. It ramped up to where it was like, by the time I started at age 12. By the time I was 13, once or twice a day, every day. So yeah, pretty much once or twice a day, every day. Literally age of 13, and I started to recognize it, and this was in middle school. By the transition of seventh grade to eighth grade, I already found out, and this was something that I was unconscious of at the time, but being 22 now, I can really look back and tell the difference, right? There was a switch in my behavior when it came to literally every fucking thing, ever since I started watching Korn. When it came to like hanging out with girls in middle school, like, I already had the intentions on wanting to smash, even though that's not fucking normal at that age. The most you should be doing is a kiss. But like that is literally like I had that in my mind. Like um, how can I start getting my body count up at that age? It's disgusting to even think about it or say that, but that's at the time that's something that I was almost insecure about because, in mind you, everybody was lying about what they were doing. But at the time I was like, how can I get my body count up and how can I start to actually start to smash? This really ramped up during high school too, where we would start to go to school dances. This is now we're age 15, 16. We start to go to school dances. I'm the one getting a lap dance from every girl that I can. And like that, especially like when I became the 2.0 version of myself, when I had a slight glow up where I gained a little bit of muscle and got my hair cut and all that stuff, and I grew a couple inches. Like that's when I started actually being even more lustful, where I would go to these parties and I would make out with like one or two girls at the fucking party same night, and get multiple lap dances during that night. And at the time that was such a flex, and everybody was like, almost, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of people were like, thought I was cool, looked up to me, thought I was getting girls. But at the time, like thinking about it now, it's really disgusting. I don't like that was my character, but it's really what I was doing. And another thing that I noticed is that the quality of girls that I would attract into my life would be more and more lustful and less pure. It went from like you wanted to get the purest girl. What do I mean by that? I mean like just the girl who's like, like righteous, like just like, she hasn't hooked up with a bunch of guys. She hasn't uh it's lust is not part of her character. And I realized that those girls would be repulsed by me, and the girls that I could get with were the girls that were getting pregnant at 16, 17, the girls that wanted to give lap dances to every guy at the fucking party, the girls that were making out with guys at the party, like shit like that. And like I told you, it was fun at first when like you get a lap dance from this cute Latina or a Arab girl that you think is attractive, and you guys make out in at the back of the school. But like it's just not, it really is like, it's gross. It's not appropriate in my eyes. I guess looking back at it, I just find it gross again. Now when it came to the physical changes of what I noticed is and this was not part of my character before age 12. I'm telling you, I was going out every day. I wanted to be out every day. I wanted to do it all. I wanted to conquer the world. I was outside hanging out with somebody every day. And until like when I started watching P, it started to ramp up to the point where I didn't want to do shit because I was releasing so much seed, releasing so much life energy that I was just like, hey, I don't want to do shit. So I would half-ass everything. And I mean everything in my life, whether that's sports. I was on the football team at the time. When we would run gassers, I would be always the second to last, even though I wouldn't say I was one of the fastest kids on the team, but I was definitely one of the faster on the team. But just to not exude my energy, I wouldn't run. I would go like 60% effort, 50% effort, just not to gas myself and not to try hard. This happened with my grades too. My grades suffered. I was like a 2.0 student the whole way from high school, and I knew I was more intelligent than that. I knew the subject matter. I knew that if I studied and really worked for myself, I could actually get around a 4.0 or something like that. But I just told myself like I don't care. Like I'm half-assing every single thing in my life. And honestly, I didn't see an issue with that until I became an adult. Like I said, I was only attracting the older I got, right? And the more I did the P addiction, because at this point it's an addiction, right? The more this ramps up, the more lustful the women would get. And I am a firm believer that you attract who you are on certain wavelengths of. So whenever I see, and this is a controversial topic, whenever I see relationships where it's like an abusive relationship or so and so cheated on who, something happened, I always look at the person who is the victim, because it's not that they're not the victim, but you attracted this person into your life for a reason, and I believe that you attracted this person because you are on the same wavelength as that person. So it doesn't really matter whether or not you're a victim. You're still a victim. Like, I'm not going to say what should have happened to you should have happened to you. You get what I'm saying? But I'm very wary of people that just kind of show blame or just say, like, I think this is more so a woman thing that I've noticed, is like he'll be like, oh yeah, you're abusive, oh yeah, he beat me, oh yeah, he cheated on me, oh yeah, he did this. Men do the same thing, but it's unheard because we're kind of invisible in society in a certain realm. But when you have these people that say this, right, I've noticed is that, like, that person who's projecting that, it's literally a projection. Whatever their issues are, they have the same amount of issues that is making it so that is an equal match to you, and that's why you're attracting that. And one thing I realize is that looking within, not only does it hurt the ego, it's the hardest thing to fucking do. And I'm going to get into that as I talk about this video, and this is a lot of people that men and women cannot fucking do. It's like they blame the other person. Oh yeah, she did this, he did that. But you're not looking within. Why did I attract this? And how can I better myself so that I don't attract this anymore? I think the majority of people do not do that. But that's what I've realized, because my like when it came to like my family, I just kept seeing the fact that, like, oh yeah, my mom is like this, my dad is like this. They clash, but they don't know that they're equally as bad. You get what I'm saying? And that screws me over because I don't have an outlet to look up to. You get what I'm saying? And I have to go by this life by myself, and it's a really sucky situation. So that's when I realized, even as a kid, like, you attract who you are on the same wavelength as. So if you are tired of attracting BS, and that's just in general, whether it's the women in your life, the men in your life, the relationships that you have, your work environment, the money that you're making, the area that you're living, if you want to change that for the better, you need to look within. That's where it starts, and that's just my firm belief. I also noticed the perverted thoughts where it was like, instead of just thinking like, oh yeah, I wanna smash, like, and this was, mind you, we're in high school talking about this, right? Instead of thinking like, oh, like I'm a smash or whatever, it would be more than that. It would be like I wonder what stuff tastes like. I wonder how long it would take for me to crack that egg until she finishes or whatever. It was gross. And I would do this for a lot of girls that I was really attracted to. I'd be like, oh yeah, I wonder what that tastes like. I wonder how, like, just, I don't even want to repeat it. It's just gross thoughts where it's like, I know I shouldn't be thinking about this right now, especially at this age, but like, it was almost like a fun, daydream of me imagining what I would do with the girls in my life. And looking back at it, it's gross. I really hate the fact that was part of me, and honestly still is to a certain extent, but it's dying down, like, drastically. And another thing that I didn't even mention was the fact that I had ED, erectile dysfunction, at age 13, where it was like, it was either it would get so hard where it would be hard for hours, like hours on hours, like a whole day at school hard. Or it would be, I literally could not get hard unless I was watching P. And this was from 12 to 13. That's the difference. So imagine 10 fucking years. You get what I'm saying? So when did I realize this was a problem? So I made a video talking about what changed my politics forever and all that stuff. You guys should check that out if you guys want. I definitely have a bunch of videos talking about, like, my life story on this channel. This is what this is for. It's kind of like therapy to me. But so I realized it was an issue at age 18 during the vid, aka the global pandemic that ravaged across the world. And I'm not gonna get into it, but you get what I'm saying. I talk about what I think about all that stuff in that video, so I'm not gonna get too far into that, right? But during 2020, I realized I had the time where it was like I was working part time. I wasn't in school. I was almost a NEET. I was like not barely working, not going out. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any girls to hang out with. Just in my room, barely had to pay rent. Just like sleeping all day and just straight up gooning. This was probably the worst it got. This was the worst my P um I'd argue this is the worst my pee addiction got was during 2020, where I graduated high school, no college, part time work, and the people that I was living with wasn't pushing me too hard, so I would just goon. And especially during the high school days when I was technically still in high school, but I was 18, bro, I was gooning like a motherfucker. Like I'm telling you, I would be releasing seed 10 times a day, 12 times a day, and I literally couldn't stay up. Like every time I would release, I would take a 30-minute nap because I had no fucking energy and I just couldn't get shit done. Like literally it was impossible for me to work more than 16 hours in a week. Impossible. No, like no possible way that was going to happen. And that's when I really realized I was so frustrated with how I was, the women that I was attracting in my life, because it just got worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where it's like I couldn't attract anybody. So I tried to fix this, and I've looked at the red pill content all the way to when I was like 15. I remember watching like what is that channel called? Far above average or something like that, where it was like how to attract your dream woman by these masculine traits, stuff like that. I was doing that at 15, but I really started looking into it at age 18, and that's when I realized like it was Von Two Cut, same age as me at the time. Von Two Cut pretty much highlighted what like pretty much how to with game with women, and how your spiritual energy is damaged from the food that you eat and the content that you ingest, including social media and corn. That's when I realized, like, hey, what if I didn't goon 10 times a fucking day? I'd probably be a lot better off. So let's try that. It's like, it's almost like because this was when it was rolling into 2021. That's when I thought, like, hey, like maybe for a New Year's resolution, I should be like, hey, let's not watch P anymore. So I set off that goal, and it was like, hey, I'm going to eat healthy, and I'm going to quit corn altogether. Mind you, this is when ever since I watched the Von Two Cut videos on Von Two Cut, the roommates, Kevin Samuels, ever since I started watching that, that's when shit started to progress, where I started to realize stuff about female nature, and that literally after like I probably started looking at it. I was about to turn 19, so I was 18. It was December of 2020, and by the time I implemented all the stuff that they were saying, I ended up actually being able to lose my virginity 2 months later, just by using the game that I learned from the red pill. And people shit on the red pill, like it definitely is something to be shit on in certain aspects, but it definitely changed my perspective on women, and it definitely saved. Honestly, it made me realize that like corn is a fucking problem, and how I wanted it to eradicate it out of my life. So, with that being said, this was how trying to quit corn for good went. So mind you, I'm 19 years old by now. I tried what's called, I'm going to call it strategy 1. So mind you, it kind of gets kind of weird talking about this, but this was just my strategy. And if you guys have any better strategies, let me know in the comments. What are your strategies? What do you do to really conquer lust? I want to know. Like, I can take in game from whatever, you get what I'm saying? So please let me know what you guys do, but this is what I did. So strategy one was pretty much, I worked 5 days a week roughly, and I was going to every time on the weekends I was going to goon. So I would goon as many times as I wanted, and By the time Monday rolled around, no goon, cold turkey, and we're gonna go as long as possible without gooning or watching PMOing pretty much. That strategy was the weakest strategy by far, and I did it for 2 fucking years because I didn't have the urgency of knowing like this was the actual single factor that was ruining my fucking life. So from 19 to 21, those years were fucking yanked from me. Knowing the power of entropy. If you don't know what entropy is without order, there's disorder. So however much energy you put in to order your life and to correct your life, the whatever is left over is the disorder. So you're going to end up in places and spaces where you didn't intend to end up because you're not exuding full energy and taking control of your life. So with that being said, I started working odd jobs. I started working at doing Uber Eats, delivery driver, and making no fucking money, inconsistent money. Then we started working at a tire shop where I briefly mentioned this in the car story that I talked about. You guys should check that out too. But in the car story where it was like I got bitched around so bad at that job and nobody respected me, and I was very that's another thing, is that the emotional turmoil when you are low in testosterone, because you are low on testosterone if you goon consistently, you turn into a female. And with all the fucking things that the diet, the society has implemented to make men such soy boys, right? If you add on top of that a pee addiction, bro, you are a fucking female. So I was getting emotional as fuck. I hated this. I couldn't defend myself physically. I was weak. The gains at the gym were half of my genetic potential. Everything was half-assed, just like I told you about. Everything was half-assed. And I would get glimpses of what my life could be, but just in general, like my life just fucking sucked. And it was probably the worst experience. It was the worst time. I would say age 20 was the worst time of my life where I just couldn't figure shit out. And everything fucking sucked. Everything sucked. And strategy, and I didn't pinpoint the fact that strategy one was not, it was me trying to conquer lust was literally the most important thing that I could do. I realized this when the last day, like literally the last days of me working at that tire shop that I was telling you guys about in the me buying my first car story, was they pretty much, I got a haircut. I took a 2-hour lunch. I told my manager that I was going to take a longer lunch, and I totally got bitched at, and it was my final straw. All the days of the racial slurs, all the days of being bitched around and not being able to speak up for myself just came out, and I told myself, fuck all of you guys, I'm out. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find something, right? And with entropy being said, I just tried to look for anything that paid more, and I became an exterminator. I never thought I was going to be doing this, and it sucks because you're letting your younger self down. I always thought my younger self always thought like, oh yeah, by the time you're 22, 23, 24, you're going to be an entrepreneur. YouTube is going to pick up. You're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing this. This is what my 17, 18-year-old version of me thought. And due to the entropy and due to me not having the energy levels to become the best version of myself, I was letting myself down and becoming my worst fucking nightmare, a fucking loser. And mind you, being an exterminator, being pest control, it doesn't not pay. It pays actually very well, but the stigma of being pest control, who the fuck wants to be a pest control technician? Like, you're telling me you would do that for free? No, absolutely not. And the majority of people think you're gross. So I've realized that with talking to women, like, it's almost there's like a weight on my shoulders because I might, even though I might be a good looking guy, slightly above average looking. I had ChatGPT rate me physically, and this is the feedback that I think I agree with from everything that I've seen. Right, 7 out of 10 face, 7 out of 10 body. I'm 5'11", 150 pounds, 13% body fat. Got a hairy chest, all that stuff. You see slight muscle, but it's nothing too crazy. It gets slight abs. Definitely above, like I get my eyebrows done and shit like that. So I'm definitely if you saw a picture of me, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a good looking guy. But I struggle with women entirely, and with this pee addiction, like nothing comes into fruition. And that's when I realized that strategy one there needs to be a difference. So strategy two was a much more solid go around. So my strategy two was this. Pretty much I was going to goon as much as I wanted Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Mind you, I worked those days. What do I do on the days that I work versus the days that I didn't work was because during the weekends when I had nothing to do is when it was the hardest for me to not relapse on P. So when I realized that, I told myself, okay, why don't you start the streak, quote unquote, right before the weekend? So I would literally goon as much as possible. And that Friday, like the last hour, I would goon as much, the hardest I could, where it was like 3 or 4 loads were busted in that hour. And it's unbearable. It sucks. But one thing I realized is by strategy one, the max amount of days that I went without P was 7 days, but it would typically average about 4 to 5 days. So literally for that 2-year period, the longest I could go without P was 4 or 5 days, and the max was 7 days. That's fucking embarrassing. When I started doing strategy 2, mind you, I actually started taking ashwagandha, and I realized that a lot of the shit a lot of what I thought was related to corn pretty much was not even related to corn. It was related to stress. So once I started taking ashwagandha, I started taking like 450 milligrams of ashwagandha. I realized that once I started feeling better, it got easier, and I started the streak on the weekend. It got easier and easier to actually push through. Using strategy 2, I used strategy 2 all through 2024, and I maxed out at 22 days. Getting past 7 days was pretty much like entry level to me now. And but it wasn't enough. I was really shooting for 70 days. Why 70 days? Why not more? Why not less? 70 days is about the time where it takes for your seed to fully form. You can look this up. It takes about 68 days to 72 days or something like that. And that's where if you do not PMO at all or have intercourse, you will be at full seed. If you go from 0 to full, it will only take 70 days. That's why I think going past 70 days, like these guys on Monkbo doing semen retention for 1 to 2, 3 years, it's not necessary because it's almost, you're only going to you're going to release it anyway by a wet dream. So it's going to be released anyway. And why I don't say do any time less than that or anything less than 70 days is because you're not at full seed where you could be at full seed. That's just my belief. I could be wrong, you know what I'm saying? But I think there's definitely a solid truth into that. And that's what the goal I was aiming for. So 22 days was not fucking cutting it. And the job that I was working, I noticed with entropy, the jobs just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I did not like that. So I told myself that 2025 is going to be the game changer. Mind you, I just got out of a quote unquote relationship that it was my first relationship that lasted for fucking a whopping, drum roll please, 7 days. And I attracted another lustful woman who had abandonment issues and didn't even look at me like I was a prize. And I can't do that again. I can't fucking do that again. So I told myself and I move through pain. I always upgrade through pain. I always keep pushing with pain. So with that being said, I told myself 2025, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to conquer lust. I'm going to hone in even more than I did in 2024. 2024 was my almost year. I almost got into a relationship. I almost moved out completely, which I actually did move out. I almost turned my life around, but because of what happened, it didn't. I failed. Another thing that I need to mention is what happened, what continuously happened. Let me turn this light on because I'm speaking some game right now. What did I notice on semen retention, right? Even though I only got to 7 days, right? I want to tell you guys what I mentioned because it was life changing and it was the best thing that has ever happened, right? To me, honestly, ever since being in having a corn addiction, right? One thing, so 0 to 7 days, I didn't notice anything. The biggest thing that I noticed was that my voice got deeper. I looked that up, and it's like your testosterone literally increases after day 7. So my voice literally got fucking deeper. Where I would talk where typically I would talk like how I talk right now. Unfortunately, I just went through another relapse, and I'll tell you about why later on. Typically, my voice is actually deeper than it is right now when I'm on semen retention, and I noticed that after 7 days. After the second week, I noticed this is day 9 to day 14. I always noticed women looking at me, and the women that would be looking at me would not be the women that I necessarily wanted, but they were attractive, which is definitely a good plus. It was kind of like the girls that you think are cute but you're not really trying to go after. Those are the type of girls that were looking at me. Or I would get an indirect comment from a girl that I found, or a woman that I found not very attractive. Like, let's say I'm doing your service as a pest control technician. The lady, like, she'll be in her 50s and she'll be like, "Oh, look at you, all handsome." It's like, whatever. It's like that stuff literally doesn't happen. It's like that typically doesn't happen to me, but every time I'm on week 2, it's like something like that happens where I get called attractive by somebody, so some woman who I don't find very attractive, but it doesn't negate the fact that I'm attracting something. You get what I'm saying? It's the start of something. And women that I find attractive are looking at me back, right? I feel like the presence the presence that I can feel my presence being seen and felt. And I've noticed by week 3, you start to feel the energy change. Like, I literally can feel myself transitioning into something. And I remember, I will not forget this, right? Every time you meet a certain threshold, every time you meet your best score or whatever, your longest streak, I feel as though you get happier. Have a happier experience. What the hell do I mean by this, right? The best day of 2024 was this for me. And mind you, this isn't even a crazy day. I went to the mall. I typically don't have the energy to do this. Typically I would work, and due to us working Saturdays as a pest control technician, I was gassed out. So typically I wouldn't do anything during the weekends. But my job had me off that Saturday and Sunday, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna do something. I actually have the energy to do something. Day 7, I would always feel like, hey, like, I want to do something, but I don't have the energy to do it. Day 0, I didn't want to do anything, and I had the energy to do nothing. So by day 14, I had the energy to do something. And so I did. So I went to, I live in NorCal, in the Sacramento area. So I went to like Cars and Coffee for the first time. And I started meeting people, and it was cool. It was like this is something that I typically don't do. Just walking around people in their cars, asking questions, and they ask questions about my F30 and stuff like that. And it was just a cool experience. It was just like very cool, cozy, and the fact that it would only get better if I kept pushing. I go to get my eyebrows done. It was this. I will not forget it. It was this. She was from Nepal. She was in her, I would say, early mid 40s. She was attractive. She was very attractive, very beautiful woman. And she decided to do my eyebrows. And as she was throwing my eyebrows, we just kept talking. And it was just this natural flow of me just talking to her. and she was giggling. It was almost like we were flirting with each other. And typically it takes like 5-10 minutes to get your eyebrows threaded. We were sitting in that chair for like a fucking hour because we just kept talking. And we were talking. I'm not gonna get into too much details, but she was talking about where her family's from. I was educating her on 401ks and all this good stuff, like what she can do to better her life. And she was like, at the end of it, she said to me, which I won't forget, was like, she said, like, I wish I could not, like, I wish that we could keep talking. And like, typically you would ask for the number then, but her age range was something that I don't think I could have handled at the time. And I just noticed that, like, I tried to tip her. She said, don't worry about it. Like, it was just such a beautiful interaction. Such a beautiful interaction. And I remember driving home in my F30, and I saw a G80 driving past as I was making my way home. And I flashed it was during the day. I flashed my high beams over to like wave at it to say like, oh yeah, I noticed the G80, and he flashed his high beams back at me as a time of like a sort of acknowledgement. And I was thinking, what a fucking awesome day! What an awesome day! Guess I go to get my eyebrows done. Women are I'm not, because typically I'm timid with women. I went through a 3-year hiatus of having sex with women or doing stuff like that, but like, or lusting and having perverted thoughts. But when I was off of it, it was just like everything just flowed natural. I was meeting people, attracting people, and attracting the things that I want. And I just thought that was crazy. And I remember day 21, I won't forget this either, my longest streak. I was lifting, and there was this guy at the gym where it was like, I always admired him. He was my height. He was big, good looking dude, and no homo or anything. But just like you admire the guy. Like, yeah, he has the swag that you want. Good clothes. He had a nice car. And I remember he never acknowledged me. Like, even when like I would walk past him, like he would even head nod me. Like, he just would walk past me, right? But there was one day where I was lifting, and I was lifting heavier than I typically do. And that's one thing too, that my lifts, each time, the longer I go without pee, the more my lifts would increase, like literally week by week, adding 5 pounds to the bench or whatever. And I remember for the first time, he acknowledged me. Like he dabbed me up. This is from something like I've never talked to him. He's like, good shit, bro. It's just like little stuff like that. I'm not saying this is the end of the world. I'm not saying you're going to start fucking levitating. But literally from 0 to 22 days, I literally could see my life change. The worst part about it was, and this is from after watching or reading the Easy Peasy Way to Quit Pee, the fatal mistake that I used, the fatal mistake that I did was after 21 days, pee had no effect on me. Pee had no effect on me, to the point where I was like, oh yeah, I can watch it because it has no effect on me. And if I actually goon right now, I can easily get back to 21 days because I already did it before. That was my mindset. I ended up gooning after 22 days, and the stress from life kicked in 1,000% to the point where they cut overtime at my job. I hated my living situation, and I couldn't, due to the stress, I couldn't break past that 21-day mark. So I told myself that I was going to change my environment, and that's when I moved into a new place, and now we're here. Still haven't surpassed that 22-day mark, and that was in June of 2024 when I was at 22 days of no corn, no PMO, no sex or anything. And strategy 3 is what I need to do to conquer everything. Like I told you, in 2024 was my almost year with everything. 2025 will be the fucking year. I moved out. Just got approved for an apartment. I move in with less than a week. It's really on me. The people that I was living with at the time actually rented out my room, so there literally is no looking back. There literally is no looking back. I have over 5 figures in the bank. I cannot blow this. It's very easy that I can blow this, where I spend too much and I fail and I lose the F30, lose my apartment, and I'm fucking homeless. It's really up to me. I'm about to turn 23. It's really up to me, and I'm fucking scared. And strategy 3 is what I need to do to conquer lust, so that I know that the internal is conquered, so that the external is conquered too. You get what I'm saying? Because once the internal is conquered, it doesn't matter what the external is. I know that I can conquer the hardest thing that has ever been placed upon me. You know that I've been homeless. You know my struggles with women. You know my struggles with everything that I list on this channel. Lust is the hardest thing that I'm trying to overcome, and this is the biggest battle of what this channel is about. And I had to create a new version of myself to conquer this, and this is what I call myself, 37 Ghost. It's my 3.0 version of myself. And at the end of this 3.0 journey, which I only intend to last about 11 months, starting in March, I will become the best version of myself. And that is what strategy 3 is. What this is, conquering lust is the main component in what I need to do. So what is the difference between strategy 2 to strategy 3? Strategy 3 is pretty much, instead of gooning for those 3 days, goon for 2 days only. So Thursday, Friday, you goon as much as possible, and then you go cold turkey on the weekend. Mind you, every time I fail this time, instead of wondering why, like I did in 2024, wondering why and just keep doing it because I don't know anything else, I write down the reasons why I failed. The reasons why I failed this year alone. So mind you, I got to 14 days this year in January, and in February I got to 18 days, which is 18 days is my second longest streak, which is amazing, right? 14 days I was watching, I was on Instagram, I was on softcore corn. Literally when you have your reels and on high sensitivity, and all you're looking at is just ass, like, bro, like it's not corn per se, but it's soft core, and that's gonna get you to look. And the thing about the easy peasy method, where you have to look at that book or whatever, that it's really, it doesn't have to be 4 hours, but the real rules that you need to abide by when it comes to that book or that video, that 4-hour video, is there's no such thing as a peak. There's no such thing as a substitute. You're not giving anything up. You are better off with that. And do not use willpower. Remind yourself that you are free from lust. The majority of people cannot do what you're doing. And that your dream life is ahead of you as long as you conquer lust. Ask ChatGPT, how many men can go 70 days without PMO or sex? It was literally, he estimated 2 to 1%. If you can go 70 days without PMO or sex, you are literally in more self-control than 99% of the male population. The below 9%, 99%, they watch pee, they watch corn, the woman dictates the relationship if they're in one, and they just can get what they can. They don't even sexually satisfy their girls, right, or the women. Follows IG models, like, just totally doesn't have the energy to conquer themselves. And if you can do that, which I intend to do, I will become the 1% when it comes to conquering lust. And if I can become the 1% in conquering lust, why the fuck can't I be the 1% in everything else? If this is hard, I asked ChatGPT this too. I know, because I don't have friends. I have this YouTube channel, and I have ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT, percentage-wise, how much harder is it to go 70 days without PMO or sex, or trying to become the 1%, or trying to get rich, trying to make 6 figures? What is harder? And ChatGPT said that conquering lust is harder than figuring out a way to make six figures plus. If you can figure out how to conquer your mind like that, why can't you figure out how to make finances? Why can't you figure out how to create your own business? If you can do that, you can do fucking anything else. This is why I'm so fucking hard on myself. So strategy 3 is goon Thursday, Friday. So less gooning days. Goon Thursday, Friday. Take more ashwagandha. So mind you, I was taking 450 grams of 450 milligrams of ashwagandha. I'm taking 1,500 milligrams now. I tried my first streak of 2024. I was on 900 mg, didn't work, but I had my reasons, right? 1,200 was the next try. It didn't work because I actually approached this woman at the gym, and she rejected me fucking bad, and it sent me down a spiral where I folded. I fell into the trap. I got my hours cut at work. On the same day. It was just a terrible fucking day, and unfortunately I relapsed. And Valentine's Day came up, and I missed my ex so bad, quote unquote ex. I can't even really call her that. I call her girlfriend zero. I missed her so bad. It was just combinations of everything. And it killed me. It really killed me, and I relapsed. And I'm taking accountability. And the beginning of March, I always have a cool down period. That's what I learned from strategy 2, is that I can't just go right back into it. It's not going to result in a better outcome. I need to analyze what went wrong. I need to get used to the fact that I'm about to go hard when it comes to not watching PMO or having sex. And then after that 2-week, 3-week period, another go around. And I don't call these streaks. I'm not trying to count the days, but I'm going to keep pushing until I get to at least that 70-day mark. And I am even going to take a blood test to figure out all the deficiencies and why I'm so like I am. I know I'm low in testosterone. I know that for a fact. I know that my dopamine is fucked. I'm incredibly unhappy in life. And just due to the social media, the phone, I'm on my phone 8 hours a day, PMOing, like, bro, my dopamine is fucked. So really just trying to pinpoint where I'm lacking in nutrition, and feeling that, like feeling whatever I'm lacking in, I'll take the proper nutrition to feel better. One, that's going to kill the stress, get my better sleep. I noticed that on one of my streaks is that you need better sleep. Sleep is such a strong priority. It's unreal. And getting off of social media and trying to fix my dopamine receptors, and remembering that there's no such thing as a peak. Even if you feel like shit, just keep pushing. So I very much intend this next streak to be even quote unquote streak. I should stop saying that. If I don't reach 70 days, I know it's going to be past what I did. It's going to be past 18 days, and no matter how long it takes, I'm going to keep pushing it. But I genuinely think it's not going to. I genuinely think with strategy 3 that I am going to conquer lust 2025. We're going to make 6 figures this year, and I'm going to get out of the fucking rut that I am in, and we are going to live my best fucking life, and I'm going to take you guys with me. With that being said, that is the plan. And I have 2 options right now. I have the best version of myself, or I have the anti-vision. There is no other option or way. Why do I say that? Because it's true. The truth is I am slightly above average, but I can definitely tell that my hair is thinning. I'm a pest control technician, and I am addicted to corn. If I don't fix this, I'm only going to attract women that are the same or worse as girlfriend number 0. I'm going to be unhappy. I'm going to be bald. I'm going to be a corn addict. I'm going to be a complete fucking gooner. My wife is not going to respect me. I'm not going to respect me. Men aren't going to respect me. I'm going to be bossed around my whole entire life. I'm going to have kids that don't respect me. And I'm going to live a completely dismal existence. Or I can become 37 Ghost, become the healing journey, and become the best version of myself, and have all the dreams that I've always wanted, all the type of women that I've always wanted, all the cars that I want, the finances that I want, and the life and story that I've always wanted. I don't have an option to stay the same. It's either that or that. So with that being said, this is what this YouTube channel is about. This is my plan. I want to know what you guys think of the plan. Do you guys think I'm delusional? What do you guys think about this whole thing? What do you guys think about the video? What do you guys want to hear more from? What do you guys can you guys give me advice? I want to hear your guys' feedback. What do you guys think? What do you guys do to conquer lust? I would love the feedback. I would need it, honestly. But yeah, with that being said, that was my testimony. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I will catch you guys next week with the next video. And we're going to fucking conquer this, boys. We're going to do this shit together. I promise it. We are going to become, like Ziz says, we're all going to fucking make it. Let's fucking do this shit. Let's conquer lust, become the best version of ourselves. 37 Ghost, out.